Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. Usual lineup: Steven Jodren in the A chair. In the B chair is the one and only Armand Kavai. Follow us on Twitter at Uncle Sam Soccer Pod. And it's a USA special.
USA!
USA. I'm excited. Armand, you are excited. I hope all you listeners are excited because this game is the most important game on the calendar as far as it comes to U.S. men's national team. This year, 2017, this game will decide whether or not this year was successful or a failure.
You mean this cycle? Not just this year. This cycle.
Okay, this cycle, yeah. But for sure this year, because last year you had the Copa America and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, listeners, Friday night, Orlando City Stadium. It's going to be fantastic. Initial game thoughts, Armand. Let's get straight to it.
Let's get straight to it, Steven. As an American and as someone who's watched the national team since I was a young kid, this is one of the times that I can say I am nervous for a game against Panama. To be honest with you. Panama's a talented team, don't get me wrong, but usually we're at this point, we've qualified. I think last year, last cycle we did qualify through Klinsmann before, and we're just sweeping through, just playing some games, getting some points, But this year it's a different story. I'm relatively nervous as a United States fan. Arena steadied the ship for a little bit, and then it just seemed to all crash down. We'll see, Steven, but man, I'm more nervous than I was for the Honduras game, to be honest. I mean, this is make or break.
Oh, it's make or break. According to ESPN SPI, 93% chance to qualify for the World Cup if they win Friday. If they were to lose, 44% chance. So it tells you the magnitude of this game. I am not nervous. I'm just afraid that reality is about to hit U.S. soccer in the face.
What's reality?
Reality is that we kind of suck.
Man, I was reading an article. It was on ESPN FC, and it was a roundtable of the national team. I think you can link it. I forgot who wrote it, but it was good. They talked about the national team. I think it was Herculez Gomez. I mean, I don't want to misquote, so don't take me. You can go read the article. Yeah, I don't want to get misquoted. But it was one of those guys said this is one of the most talented teams in memory.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Come on, cut us a break.
This is not the most talented team in memory. I think the 2014 World Cup squad probably was better, to be honest.
2002 squad was better. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, actually. Go back and listen to it if you want to compare rosters from the last World Cup cycles up until 2002. Take Christian Pulisic off this roster, Armand, and you get crap. Okay? You get a bunch of old guys with nothing new except for Kellen Acosta. He would be the Christian Pulisic. Kellen Acosta is the player that everybody would be hyped around if it weren't for Christian.
Scary.
Isn't that
That's
scary? Scary.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Ian Dark on Twitter tweeted, U.S. aim claimed to defy Hex history to qualify automatically for World Cup. The best any team with 9 points after 8 games has done is a playoff.
Yeah, that's telling. And I mean, if you remember, Dark flat out said this U.S. team is mediocre.
Everybody, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but everybody
go ahead.
outside who is either a foreigner or isn't a USA fanboy, which is pretty much everybody outside of Alexi Lawless when it comes to real Americans. Well, that just got misquoted. Never mind that. But what I'm saying is the media in itself is so afraid to criticize this squad and criticize Bruce Arena and U.S. soccer. It is a joke that we can't criticize them.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, when Alexi Laws called them out, I mean, they all seem to take offense to it.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like Pulisic
that-
had the most like professional response to that.
Yeah, and he's 19. But think about Craig Burley on ESPN criticized the U.S. men's national team. He's not U.S. Dark, not a U.S. They're not native. Born here in the sense of that. A lot of the Gomez had to defend this national team. I remember I was watching that round tables. At the end of ESPN FC's show, they'll sit there and they'll ask questions from the viewer or the audience, and Herculez Gomez was sitting there, defending the national team, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, get a reality. Just because you were part of this national team years ago, you can criticize it. It's okay to do that.
No, it is, and I mean, I don't think the team gets any better without any criticism. To be honest, we can't just keep patting them down and saying it's okay, you're doing a good job, but they're not.
No,
they're not.
And it all comes down to this match against Panama. Yes, we'll talk about Trinidad and Tobago because this show is going to cover both games. But this matchup, like I said, if they were to win this game, they're 93%. They have a 93% chance of qualifying. So
yeah, just to set the table for the viewers. Right now Mexico's on top of the group with 18. You can say they basically have qualified.
Oh, they have qualified.
They have qualified. Costa Rica is on 15 points. They have essentially qualified. You can pencil them in. Panama is on 10 points. The United States is on 9. The U.S. is tied with Honduras at 9, and Trinidad and Tobago sitting lowly at 3. So, looking at this, if the U.S. beats Panama, they jump to 12, which is over Panama. And if all they would need is a result. A result, but it depends on our goal difference because our goal difference is worse than Panama's right now.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And the good thing for the U.S. is the U.S. has 11-1-6 all-time advantage against Panama. Panama has never beat the U.S. in World Cup qualifying, but the tide is in Panama's favor. They've actually shown up the last several games. Last 4 meetings across all competitions have ended 1-1. In 3 times in Gold Cup play and then once in the World Cup qualifying. And then remember in 2014, Grant Susi actually scored to tie the match 2-2 to send Panama to basically not qualify for the World Cup.
That's when Mexico needed to qualify with Zusi's goal, and then Johansson scored another goal to make it 3-2, and that's how the game. I remember watching that game.
I do too.
Well, isn't it funny? USA is almost in a similar situation
as Mexico.
Yeah, on the edge of potentially not qualifying, and the thing is, Mexico when they qualified into a playoff. But if the U.S. qualifies for a playoff, I mean, I'm expecting to be Australia. I've told you, Steven, many times. I have no faith in the Syrian team. If Australia doesn't win, something is wrong with the Australian national team. I mean, to be honest, if they end up playing Australia, that's not New Zealand. That's who Mexico played. Mexico played New Zealand. That's not New Zealand. That's a tough game, even in the playoff.
Sure. No, I agree. Obviously, the significance of this game is massive. But the pressure on Bruce Arena, I think, is very interesting because this was tweeted about Joe Prince Wright. Arena was on Sirius XMF radio. And, quote, "We've gone through 2017 and have lost 1 game, and people react like the roof has caved in here." And here's the thing Bruce Arena doesn't understand. I don't care what the statistics says. Use your eyeballs. And your eyeballs tell you something different than the statistic. Go with your eyeballs. Because let me tell you, the national team has looked like crap remember when they were playing Colorado and they were playing Costa Rica, right? And Pulisic got the brace.
Oh,
was it against Costa Rica? No,
it was against Trinidad.
And they got the brace, but they looked like they were struggling the entire time. In fact, Trinidad, the MLS forward, hit the crossbar early.
Kenwin Jones.
Yeah, he hit the crossbar early. It's like Bruce, I don't care that you've lost one game all year in 2017. My eyeballs tell me something different, and it tells me that you guys suck. I'm sick and tired of saying you guys are mediocre. No, I'm taking a hard stance. You guys just simply suck.
I mean, the thing is, I think he's putting too much significance on the Gold Cup. When the Gold Cup, in my eyes and in many other eyes this year, was very meaningless. I mean, it's still a good tournament, but many teams didn't throw their A teams in. I mean, U.S. didn't, Mexico didn't. I think maybe only Costa Rica did. I mean, they did. It was just a meaningless tournament in my eyes.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I thought.
And it wasn't like they called up all the youngsters from Europe because they couldn't.
Exactly. Yeah, they couldn't. But I mean, looking from what the players are saying, I mean, Sam Borden tweeted out he had to sit down with Tim Howard, and he said, "When we punch our ticket to Russia, none of this is going to matter." I mean, I feel like you shouldn't be overconfident going into a match like this, and I feel like the U.S. team's a little too overconfident. I think they should be confident going into the match, absolutely, that they should get a result and they should win. But I think to be that resounding in a statement, if that comes back to haunt Tim Howard, I mean, that's gonna be, he's gonna get, that tweet's gonna be retweeted by people making fun of him for a while. So I mean,
well, yeah, for sure. But the thing is, Bruce Arena has, I think, a weird pressure on him because I think this will defy his career. He came in after Klinsmann, and it was kind of like, I remember you and I, when Bruce Arena got hired, got in a heated argument. Do you remember?
Right. Yeah, I do.
And I said it was a wrong decision. And you're like, well, it's a stopgap, blah, blah, blah. It is a stopgap. If he does not qualify for the World Cup, his legacy goes down the toilet. Just like
yeah, it's ruined.
It's ruined. Nobody will ever remember that he got the U.S. to the quarterfinals.
Or any of the MLS Cups.
Or the MLS Cups with L.A. Nope. Who cares? He came in, and he came in to be the knight in shining armor. That was what Bruce Arena was here to do. And for a while, it looked like it was going to work. The results went that direction. But my eyeballs, it was something off. You didn't feel the spark with this team. This team doesn't have spark.
It's boring.
It's a boring squad outside of Christian Pulisic. Yes, Pulisic is awesome. Love him. He is America's next superstar. If you had watched the 60 Minutes interview with him, apparently there was a $40 million bid that went in for him this past summer that seems to have gone unnoticed in the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They just casually mentioned that the Dortmund's received a $40 million bid for him, and I feel like no one caught up on that, which is kind of funny.
But these players are also on the same boat, I believe, as Bruce Arena. Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, Josie Altidore, Timmy Howard. I don't care what you did in 2010 in South Africa. Don't care what you did in the Gold Cup or at the Confederations Cup in 2009. Don't care what you did with Klinsmann in 2014. Although I think that was landed in the group of death. And then, losing to Belgium in extra time, I thought that was an overall pretty successful World Cup for the national team. It was about where you expected them to be. But if they can't get over the hurdle of qualifying outside the hex, yeah, their career goes down the toilet. I don't care what Michael Bradley does with Toronto with the MLS Supporters Shield and MLS Cup if he goes on to win. I don't care for that. His legacy is going to be built on this national team.
It really is. I mean, you look into it, and a lot of these guys are towards the end of their careers, I would say. I mean, I feel like Dempsey's kind of tailing off the end of his career.
Yeah.
Howard. I mean, Altidore is still relatively young, only 27, 28. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about that. But, I mean, a lot of these players are slowly going into the sunset. Beasley.
Beasley. I mean, are we going to have him for 2056 too?
Beasley, yeah, we got Beasley, got Wondolowski, Ramondo, all these older players.
Guzan's old. I mean, He's not old for goalie terms, but he's still an older player.
It's